gave my wife freedom, but she crossed all limits by spending the night with other men, so I did this. Hey, Redditors, I have never done this. I was trying to let out all the feelings that I had been going through lately. I came across this page and felt like pouring my heart here. My name is Travis, and I am 32 years old. I am here to share my story about how my marriage ended. I had been married to Lauren. She was 5 years younger than I was. I loved her way too much and let her live her life the way she wanted until she did something that was highly unacceptable. Even though I was unwilling, I had to make sure that she never repeats the same mistake ever in her life. She did an unforgivable deed that had to be punished. It was a difficult decision, but I knew that allowing her to continue without consequences would only enable her behavior. Despite the pain it caused me, I knew that cheating was something that was unacceptable in any relationship. I caught my wife lying and cheating, so I took my revenge to make sure that she suffers the consequences of her actions. I met Lauren 9 months ago at one of my friends' party. I was instantly smitten by her beauty and wanted to get to know her better. I asked my friend to introduce me to her so that I could start a conversation with her. My friend introduced us and left us to talk. She was quite easygoing and our conversation flowed very smoothly. She told me that she enjoyed going to parties and living her life on her own terms. She was ready for any challenge thrown her way. After talking to her, I liked her even more than before. She was not only beautiful, but also very clear about what she wanted in life. I decided that I would want to meet her more to get to know her. We started meeting each other, and it made me realize that I could not stop thinking about her. She made me feel like no one ever did. I had been warned by my friends about her wild nature and constant changing of boyfriends, but I paid no heed. I trusted my instinct and knew that she too felt the same way about me. It was just 6 months since I knew Lauren, but somewhere in my heart, I was very sure that she was the one I wanted to marry. I took her out for a holiday to a private island. She was impressed by the elaborate preparations that I had arranged just for her. One evening, as we were having drinks at sunset, I popped the question when I felt that it was the perfect moment. She instantly agreed and said yes. She gave me a hug and started crying, telling me that this was the best day of her life so far. We had a royal wedding and were the talk of the town for almost a month. Everybody talked about our wedding wherever we went. The media coverage of our wedding was overwhelming, with news outlets and social media platforms buzzing about our fairy tale romance. People were captivated by the love story we shared, and it seemed like everyone wanted to be a part of our joyous celebration. Even strangers would approach us to congratulate and share their well wishes, making us feel incredibly blessed and grateful for the outpouring of love and support. On the day of the wedding, both Lauren and I decided to still use 2 separate rooms to keep our stuff. We would sleep together at night but have a separate life of our own. I knew that we had taken very little time getting to know each other before we got married, so we both mutually decided to live our lives the same way that we did before we got married, until we could find a rhythm in our lives to give space to each other. We understood the importance of maintaining our individuality and personal interests, even within the confines of marriage. By giving each other space and time to pursue our own hobbies and goals, we believed it would strengthen our bond and allow us to grow both as individuals and as a couple. We hardly interfered with each other's schedules and did not always keep tabs on each other. I was mostly busy with my business, and adding one extra thing to my routine would be a hassle. I trusted that Lauren would make sure to take care of herself and let me know if she needed anything. This level of trust and independence in our relationship allowed us to support each other's personal growth and maintain a healthy balance between our individual lives and our life together. It also created a sense of freedom and autonomy, fostering a deep sense of respect and admiration for one another. We understood that by prioritizing our own well-being, we were ultimately contributing to the strength and happiness of our marriage. Lauren wanted to celebrate her marriage to me with her friends, so I organized a cruise for 5 days with 5 of her best friends. I did not find the need to join them, as it would only make them awkward. I had no issue in agreeing to anything my wife wished for as long as I could afford it, as all I cared about was her happiness. I believed that giving her the space to enjoy this special time with her friends would make the experience even more memorable for her. Plus, I trusted that she would have a wonderful time and create lasting memories with her closest friends. Lauren continued living the same way that she did even after we got married, going to parties, coming home super drunk, and going to bed. I made her sit one evening and asked her if there was something bothering her to behave this way. She said that all this was too new for her, and it would take her some time to adjust to this new life. She told me that she was not born with a silver spoon like I was, so all this was very overwhelming for her. I tried to understand what she meant and decided to give her some more time to step into the shoes of a wealthy man's wife. It has been almost 3 months since we got married. Lauren still did not come around and maintained her separate room. She would shower me with love, and we would have passionate nights together. But there was something that still felt missing in our relationship. Despite the physical intimacy and affection we shared, there was a lingering emotional distance between us. I couldn't help but wonder if there were deeper issues at play, causing Lauren to keep her guard up and maintain her separate space. I wanted her to trust me completely and make her feel as comfortable as possible, as this was her home, and this is where she belonged. I was contemplating if I should have a conversation with Lauren about my unhappiness and my concerns regarding our relationship. Would she take it in good spirits and try to see where I am coming from? I decided to give it a week's time and then maybe sit with her and have a heart-to-heart conversation about our feelings and if we were on the same page. I decided that this would be the best approach where nobody would be hurt. I came home early one day to grab a few papers for an upcoming meeting. I noticed that Lauren was not at home. Probably she was out with her friends. I was about to grab my papers from my room and leave when I decided to check what Lauren's room looked like. Maybe I could find some clues there that would help me to understand her better. I started looking around for either a diary or a journal that she kept. As I was shuffling through the papers, one of her lipsticks fell on the ground. I bent down to pick it up and noticed a paper under the dresser. It must be something important, so I tried to pull it out. It was an invitation to a private party. I opened to look into more details about it. I could see that the party was in honor of Lauren, organized by a group of men. The bottom of the invite was something that grabbed my attention. It read, "To the most beautiful woman ever, who deserves the love of every man in the world." I looked at the address of the party. It was a private villa owned by one of my business competitors. I decided to go and see for myself what this party was all about. On my way to the party, I called Lauren to check where she was. She told me that she was having a sleepover at one of her friends' houses and would be coming home by tomorrow evening. Lauren had no reason to lie to me because I had given her all the freedom in the world to do what she pleased. I trusted Lauren not to lie to me and just wanted reassurance that she was not at the party. I was sure that there was something fishy going on at this party that I had to find out. I reached the destination and parked my car outside. I could see that there was no one at the gate, so I showed myself inside. As I walked inside, I could hear loud and cheerful music that was deafening to the ears. I could see a lot of cars parked along the path leading to the villa. Right at the entrance, I saw Lauren's car parked, which meant she was definitely at the party and not at her friend's house as she claimed. I walked to the front door but decided against ringing the bell. I started walking along the wall to see if there was any window that I could peep through. I walked a little further and noticed one of the windows with its blinds open. I carefully tried to look carefully so as not to get caught. I could see a bunch of men standing with drinks and laughing. The music was too loud for me to make out what they were laughing at. I was so engrossed in trying to find out what was happening that I didn't even notice the obvious. Most of the men were missing a lot of clothing on their bodies. Some of them were bare-chested, while a few were just in their inner wear. They were all looking at the same thing that was below them. It was too low for me to look at what it was. I could not understand what Lauren could be doing at such a party. I was trying to give up and ring the doorbell when I saw something rising from the ground. It was Lauren standing right in the middle of all the men, with her 2 hands on her breasts and wearing only her panties. I was left numb. I could not feel anything. Just before I thought that this could be the worst thing I had seen today, one of the men came and kissed Lauren. She looked at everyone and laughed as they started hooting. I was filled with rage and anger. I decided to barge in and take Lauren away. I started walking briskly towards the main door when I got an idea. I walked back to the window and started to make a note of everyone present at the party. There were 6 men, and of course, Lauren. I was both angry and frustrated at what I could have even done if I took Lauren away. All these 6 men were my business competitors, and I could not let them mock me because of Lauren. I decided to leave them and continue what they were doing. I knew that I had to figure something out to embarrass all these men and teach Lauren a lesson. I walked out of the villa towards my car and drove like a madman, unable to digest everything that I saw. I gave Lauren everything that she ever asked for and even more. I was great in bed and we had a lot of wild nights and even days. I did not understand what Lauren was missing, that she had to go to such extreme levels just to have some fun. Anyway, thinking about why Lauren did all of this would not serve me any purpose. All I could think of right now was how to get back at Lauren and those men who were having a wild time with my wife. My mind was consumed with anger and betrayal, fueling a burning desire for revenge. I needed to devise a plan that would make them pay for their actions and restore my sense of justice. As the rage within me grew, I vowed to make sure they paid for messing with me. Lauren came home the next evening just like she had told me. I was waiting for her at home to see how she would behave after everything that she did since last night. She acted pretty calm and composed for someone who cheated on her husband with not just one, but 6 men. I tried to play along and ask her how the sleepover was. She told me that it was fun and she did a lot of catching up with her friends. I waited for her to freshen up so that I could implement my revenge. After Lauren came and sat beside me, I told her that I am planning to take a 2-week business trip for which I would need a personal secretary and that I had hired someone and her name was Catherine. I told her that she would be taking care of me in those 2 weeks. I called for her in the living room to introduce Lauren to Catherine. Lauren greeted her and welcomed her on board. I asked Lauren to rest up as I needed to discuss a few things with Catherine. She said that she was very tired, which of course she would be, after having sex with all the 6 men. That sure would have been tiring. Lauren did not look very pleased that I was taking such personal interest in Catherine, but she had no choice but to agree to it. I started walking with Catherine in the opposite direction, placing my hand on her butt and made sure that Lauren noticed it. I spent about 1 hour with Catherine explaining what her role would be. She was hired for the sole purpose to annoy Lauren and to get doubts in her mind about my relationship with Catherine. I wanted Lauren to confess on her own about her wild activities that she had been engaging in behind my back. Catherine walked into our bedroom the next morning to wake me up so that we are not late for our meeting. Lauren was shocked that Catherine had access to our bedroom as well. I quickly got ready, and before Lauren could question anything, I told her that I will see her after 2 weeks. Catherine and I left home, and for the next 2 weeks I would be staying at a hotel and keeping an eye on Lauren and her activities. I also had to find out detailed information on all the men that were at the party. I made sure to gather as much proof of actions as possible to make sure that I cover all bases and use them at the right moment. During my stay at the hotel, I meticulously documented any suspicious interactions or behavior from Lauren, as well as any potential connections she may have had with the men from the party. Additionally, I discreetly collected business and personal information of all the 6 men, as they could not just get away with goofing around with my wife. I hired a personal investigator to look into all the men and give me reports of their personal as well as professional relationships. Lauren was a special case, so I decided to spy on her myself. I wanted to see what she would do in these 2 weeks when I wasn't around. I was waiting for her to leave the house, as I know that she wouldn't be stupid to call any of her lovers to our home. She left home at noon. I followed her car to see who she would be meeting. She parked at a hotel and met Matt Ryan, who was my biggest competitor. They had lunch and were laughing and smiling at each other. I could see Ryan's hand on Lauren's thigh from time to time. She did not even try to make an effort to push his hand away. After lunch, Ryan guided her to his car and took her to his villa. I knew what they would be doing in the villa, so I did not want to waste my time following them anymore. My private investigator had sent me a few details about Matt Ryan. I was able to get Matt's fiance's contact details. I went to a phone booth and called her. I told her that Matt had been planning a surprise for her and that she was to meet him at this address. I gave her the address and waited for her to show up. She showed up after 40 minutes and drove straight inside. I had already bribed the security guards and they let her in. The main door was unlocked as there was no reason for them to lock it. Matt's fiancée went inside hoping for a surprise and hadn't expected the shock that was in store for her. She saw Matt all over a woman she did not recognize in a compromising state. She screamed at Matt and threw the engagement ring at his face and started walking furiously out of the villa. Matt followed behind her, telling her that she was mistaken, but she trusted what she saw. She told him that she would not only be breaking the engagement, but also withdrawing all her investments in his business. I was sitting in my car enjoying the scene in front of my eyes. I told myself 1 down, 5 more to go. In the same way, I got the information on all the other men and collected proof of their infidelity to their wives or made sure they were caught red-handed in the act. This led to most of them losing their investments or having to pay hefty alimony for cheating. I had one big surprise left for Lauren. I sent an invite to all the men from Lauren to a party at a new venue so that she could cheer them all up in this difficult time. Additionally, I also sent an invite to Lauren from all the men telling that she was the only woman who understood them and never judged them. This party was to celebrate the bond that all of them shared with her. I made sure that the villa was ready with all the preparations before the party started. Everyone arrived on time for the party. I made sure that everyone deposited their phones at the entrance before they could enter the villa. This was part of my plan so that they were cut off from the outside world. Lauren walked in wearing a sexy red backless dress that I had gifted her. I was amused at her shamelessness to even wear something that I had given her to enjoy herself with other men without even an inch of guilt. I had installed cameras everywhere in the villa, including the bathrooms, as I did not want to miss any kind of action. The party started with music and drinking. They slowly started dancing and kissing each other. As the party went on, I opened the link to the live stream of this party to all of the companies involved. The live stream started playing on every TV screen in both my company and everyone else's companies who were invited to the party. I had taken all their phones and placed them beside me in the monitor room. As the party progressed, their phones started ringing, some from their managers and some from their families and friends, to let them know that they were on a live stream and were being filmed. I put everyone's phones on silent and enjoyed the show with a bucket of popcorn. In the 2 weeks that I had been following Lauren, one thing that I understood was that she never loved me. She was only with me for the money and the privileges that she would receive as my wife. I should have known better not to fall for someone like her who was nothing but a gold digger. To be honest, I would not have had a problem with it because I understand that people get attracted to money. That was still okay. But what I was not okay with was that she tried to fool me by acting as a loyal wife. And she was not only having an affair, but she was having an affair with people I would have to deal with every now and then. I could see the looks on their faces when they would come to talk to me about a certain deal and make me feel inferior because in their hearts they knew that they were having the best time of their lives with my wife. That was something I was not okay with. I knew I was doing the right thing by exposing not just Lauren, but also sending a message to all those men that they made a really poor choice by messing with me. I collected the entire footage from the party and left. I left a message for Lauren and told her that I would be arriving tomorrow. The cameras were still recording them sleeping together in one bed, naked and on top of each other. A few of the men even got up in the morning and left. Lauren was the last one to leave. She looked at the message on her phone and quickly made her exit to reach home. I gave her enough time to get home, freshen up, and prepare for my arrival. After I thought that she would be ready, I made my entrance along with Catherine on my side. I hugged Lauren when I saw her and then started talking to Catherine. I acted as if Lauren was non-existent as I completely ignored her. Lauren stood there for a while, and when she saw that there was no response from me, she stomped her foot and left. I could see that my revenge plan was working. It has been 2 days since I came back from my business trip, and I have been trying to avoid Lauren as much as possible. I knew that all her lovers were busy with court cases and defamation cases against them, and could not contact her anytime soon. Lauren was still unaware of the footage and the chaos it created, as I had blocked all of them from her contacts. As days went by, I made sure that Lauren felt ignored and unwelcome in her own house. Catherine was the one calling the shots regarding everything around the house. She was the one letting the cook know what to make for breakfast, and also what kind of diet that I would be following. When Lauren tried to correct her, she would just smile and tell Lauren that I have now changed my preferences and am willing to chuck out old habits and give her a snarky look. Lauren came to me complaining that Catherine has been overtaking everything in the house and having a say in things that she was not appointed for. I told her to stop overreacting to everything. Catherine was much better at organizing all this and was doing a much better job. However, Lauren still felt frustrated because she believed that Catherine's involvement was unnecessary and intrusive. I wanted her to blame me for cheating on her so that I could play the reverse on her. I told Lauren the next day that I wanted her to spend some time with her friends, so I had booked a club where she could take her friends along to have some fun. I knew that she had been feeling a little out of place at home since the past few days. I would be busy till late at night, so she could catch up with her friends and come home after entertaining herself. This would help her lift her spirits as well. I was still having someone tail her and give me reports of her whereabouts every hour. There was no way I was going to trust her ever. I needed her out of the house so that I could prepare everything for a fun ride that she would be in for tonight. Little did she know, tonight would be a night she would never forget. As I meticulously planned every detail, excitement grew within me, eager to see her reaction to the surprise I had in store. Lauren came home around midnight fully drunk. As she walked into the living room, she noticed me sitting on the couch with Catherine on my lap. She could hardly make sense of what was happening. She walked towards us and screamed, "What the hell is going on?" I looked at her, smiled, and asked her to join me. She looked at us disgusted and asked Catherine to get off my lap. As Catherine was about to get off, I told her to sit back. Lauren was fuming with anger. She said that she knew that there was something going on between the two of us. Right from the day Catherine walked in, she knew that she was not just my personal assistant. I smiled at her audacity to blame me for cheating on her when she was the one doing exactly the same thing. I asked Catherine to leave us alone and walked towards the home theater. Lauren walked behind me with great difficulty, making sure not to trip, and stood beside me. I switched on the TV and something raunchy started playing on it. She did not understand what it was, but as she kept looking at the screen, she understood what I had put up on screen. The color drained from her face when she realized that it was the footage from her night with all the men. She looked at me in disbelief as she did not know what to say. She just kept staring at the screen and finally asked me where I got it from. I laughed at her question. I was amused that she did not even try to defend herself. I replied very casually that I recorded it myself. Her eyes widened in shock as she processed my response. She stuttered, trying to find the right words to explain herself, but nothing came out. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence as the weight of her actions hung in the air. I could see the guilt and regret written all over her face. It was clear that she had been caught red-handed and was at a loss for words. She was now struggling to come to terms with being caught in the act. I sat on the couch and started watching the footage with so much enthusiasm. She was just looking at the screen and at me, back and forth for a while, as she did not know if I was angry or amused by what was going on. I started commenting on what I saw on the screen. I told Lauren that I really liked what she did with one of the guys. It was a skill about her that I loved. I motioned her to sit beside me so that we could go about the entire footage together. She had no choice, so she sat beside me and started watching it with her head bowed down in shame. She knew at this point that she had messed up big time. As the footage played, I couldn't help but notice the discomfort on Lauren's face. It was clear that she regretted her actions and was aware of the consequences she would face. I made her sit through 2 hours of footage and told her that it was entertaining. I never knew she had such close friends who were so comfortable in their own skin around her. She had nothing to say in her defense. She started very meekly with a sorry. She told me that she got carried away by all these men. She said that they talked her into a challenge of spending a night with them. She couldn't let a few men win against her, and that was the reason she went to the party. I really liked how she was so fast at making up this story. I nodded, letting her think that I was buying her story. I tried to play a little with her to see how good she was at making up shit. I told her that I understand that she was being cornered by these men, but she could have used the identity of being my wife to get out of the situation. She said that she did not want to ruin my reputation, and hence did not mention who she was. I was impressed by her story-making skills. The ease with which she was lying was unbelievable. I acted as if I felt sorry for her being the victim in all of this. Just as she thought that it was over and I bought her story, I made her walk to the dining table to give her a glass of water. I made her sit on a chair and place the glass on a piece of paper. She picked the glass and noticed the paper. It was the same invite that she had hid under the dresser. The glass fell from her hand and shattered. She knew in that instant that there was no use making up stories, as I knew everything that she had been doing all this while. She fell to the ground and started crying profusely. Tears were the only thing that could save her. There was nothing else that she had to say. She could not defend herself, as there was nothing I did that could have led her to take such drastic steps. After confronting her and making her admit to everything she had done, I kicked her out of the house, as I had no room for a cheater like her, both in my heart and in my house. She kept begging me to give her another chance, but I learned from my mistakes and don't repeat them ever. She said that she was not thinking straight and got carried away. All of them were rich and she could not say no to them. I firmly stood my ground, knowing that forgiveness was not an option. It was a painful decision, but I knew it was necessary for my own well-being and self-respect. Moving forward, I vowed that if I ever were to like another person, then I would definitely test her worthiness to be a part of my life. This was the biggest lesson I learned from Lauren's betrayal. Within a week, I had my lawyer draw up the divorce papers. I made sure that she gets nothing from me after all the chaos she caused in my life. I made sure that a few pictures and videos of her cheating were circulated in the media to name and shame her. I made sure that I destroy any credibility that she had so that it would be difficult for her to get a job anywhere. I had warned all the major companies against hiring her. I still had a private investigator tailing her so that I was aware of what she was up to. I wanted to let her know how difficult life would be without me in the picture. I wanted her to regret every day of her life going forward for cheating on me. I made sure that she does not get a place to stay easily and is insulted everywhere she goes asking for a job. She did not agree for a mutual divorce and demanded alimony. I could not hold back my laughter at her blatant demands of money and property. She even faked to be pregnant to make sure that she gets at least child support and property under the child's name. I showed the judge all the pictures in which she was surrounded by so many men in all kinds of compromising positions. I told the judge that I was never that intimate with her to blindly agree to the child being mine. I asked to get a DNA test to make sure that it was actually mine. As they took her for the test, they came to know that she lied about the pregnancy. I put a defamation case on her along with the divorce case. She pleaded to the judge that she had no money and no source of income to pay me. Well, she should have thought about all of this before she decided to cheat on me. This was all the drama that had happened to me in the last 3 months since I got married. I am writing all of this just to lessen the hurt and pain that I have been feeling. It was very difficult for me to stay on this path of revenge and make sure to carry on with it till the end. There were times when I was so depressed that I didn't even want to do anything. Lauren was the first person who I thought would be different from all the other girls that I met in the past. She did not come off as a gold digger at first, but all she wanted was my money and property. I now understand her reluctance from the beginning to share a room with me. She would not have been able to hide all her dirty actions if we were living in the same room. It was a painful realization, but I'm grateful that I discovered her true intentions before things got even more complicated. I could literally relate with the saying, "Love is blind." For me, it was both blind and untrustworthy. I know it is going to be a difficult walk for me starting here. She not only ruined my marriage, but also my reputation. I can see the way people look at me as I walk past them. There is pity in their eyes, and some even have a mocking expression that I got fooled by a woman who was cheating right under my nose. It's disheartening to witness the judgment and scrutiny from those around me. The weight of betrayal is heavy, and it's challenging to navigate through the aftermath of such a devastating revelation. I would like suggestions and opinions from all of you guys to let me know if you agree with everything that I have done, and also how I should live my life going forward. All this drama has impacted my judgment in such a way that I keep second-guessing myself all the time. I would appreciate any help that comes my way. Thank you for reading. This woman thought she could embarrass me and get away with it. I showed her who was the real madman in our relationship. Imagine my so-called wife trying to embarrass me in front of big names in the sports industry, and she brought her affair to link him up with these men. Like she had no shame. She didn't know I had been unto her. She thought she could destroy my career in the middle of a corporate party. Women. You give them an inch and they want to destroy you with it. I had known my wife was having an affair with another man while she was married to me. I just hadn't expected her to be so blatant about it and throw it in my face. She had thought I wouldn't be able to do anything. I had made this woman, and then she had raised her middle finger to me. This is why I would always advise husbands to watch their wives. Don't put them in way above their heads. That was what I had done to this woman, and she had thought she had the best of me. LOL. I showed her maybe I had gone a little too extreme, but I had to remind her of her little beginnings and see how she survived with me. The audacity of these beings. Can you imagine the humiliation I went through seeing my wife sell her lover to my clients and front him like her brother while I was standing there dumbstruck? Then they couldn't even keep it in their pants. They went to go and rump themselves up in her office, and one idiot had caught them. I shouldn't have invited her to the party. Hell, I shouldn't have given her a leeway into my career field. I should have curbed it all when I found out about the affair and what she was doing, storing away money to leave me. I wanted to wait until after the party, and then I would throw the divorce papers in her face and then make sure I did something worthwhile to make her regret going against me. But she had run one up on me, and I was angry. I was livid. Let me tell you all what happened at the party. First off, she ditched me. My ex-wife worked as a junior executive in our sports firm. She wasn't supposed to be at the party. It was for senior executives, and she was just a team leader for one small team in the firm. She didn't mingle with the higher-ups, but I had invited her for the party because she was my wife, and she had begged me to come. Literally, it was all my wife of 5 years, now ex, had begged for as we were together in the past months before our divorce finalized 2 weeks ago. She knew about the party and wanted to go amongst her colleagues because it would make her look like she had more connection than them. Or that was what I had thought. My ex-wife was like a peacock. She loved having bragging rights like it was her lifeline. I should have treated that as the red flag that it was, but I had just overlooked it because I loved my woman to show off. The amount of begging was incessant. She didn't stop, and it was becoming annoying, so I had procured her a ticket to our office corporate party that was meant for senior executives and the athletes we managed and their families. This was my first mistake. The day of the party came, and my wife took off to go get her nails and whatever it was done. Had I known she was cheating on me? Yes, I had. I had a private investigator trail her movement, but I had called him off after every evidence he gathered pointed to what I had known to my face. I had already known what I was going to do after the PA. Had I expected her to be stupid and flaunt said affair in my face and colleagues? No, I hadn't. Like I said, I was going to divorce her after the party at work. Well, it was time for the party, and my ex-wife was nowhere to be found. I tried her cell and every available method to reach her, but to no avail. I had even called her friend, who was almost inseparable from her, after I had sworn I would have nothing to do with her. I would get to the why later. I called the friend, and that one said she had no idea where my ex-wife was. I cut the call on the witch because she was useless to me. My ex-wife was ditching me, so I had to go without her. After the party, I would look for her. I don't think you all understand the importance of this party to me. It was the best thing to propel my career as an athlete manager forward. I had a client to pitch to the big guns, and if they accepted my client, I was going to be made. I didn't want anything to go wrong. Heck, that was why I had invited my ex-wife in the first place, so it would seem like I was a family man. Everyone loved a family man, so I had thought that would score me an extra few points in their books. I really didn't want anything to go wrong, but everything went as wrong as I could have never believed possible. I had felt like the ground should swallow me when my ex-wife showed up with her lover on her arm. I had gotten to the party and started making rounds greeting top men in the game. Like when I tell you, this was a hightail event. I don't know how the owner of my firm had managed to pull some big men in sports to the event. I had expected something, but not something as huge as how that party was, and it had bombed in my face because I had given that stupid woman an inch. I'm not talking big like Steph Curry or James. I would have fainted if my ex-wife had embarrassed me at an event with them in it. I can't mention the names of the managers and athletes at our corporate party because of privacy, and I could be tracked and sued, so I would just let you all imagine the high-end people that were there. I was making rounds when this woman came in from the front of the hall looking all glammed up and the man on her arm. I was livid, but I had to maintain composure because this was a gathering of influential people, so I had to keep cool and not cause a scene. She strolled in like she owned the place, and she and her lover were matching. Imagine that tall order of audacity. She was dishing and serving it. I could only close my mouth in shock, and the first thing that had come to mind when I saw her was how she had gotten an extra ticket for her lover to get in with her. I was shocked. Not only had she ditched me and come with someone who wasn't me, the witch had used me to get an extra ticket for her affair. I had felt so fooled. I had felt like the ground should open and swallow me. Then the witch sighted me, and she withdrew back in shock. I had no idea what she had been thinking. That I wouldn't show up at the party? That was so foolish for her. But I had been there, and she was shocked to see me there. Now that I'm replaying all these things in my head, it was so laughable, really. She had actually been shocked to see me at a party I had invited her for and decided to play it off in the most ridiculous way possible. My ex-wife walked up to me and became all cuddly sweet, and I just couldn't do anything but look in astonishment. Then she introduced the man on her arms as her brother. Her brother. If she had said cousin, I could have given her the lie. If she had said adopted brother, I would have applauded the lie. But she said he was her blood relative, and they looked nothing alike. I greeted the young man out of courtesy because I was talking to an important guest, and when I wanted to strike in and introduce the athlete I was managing, my ex-wife inserted herself and introduced her brother. Sorry, her affair. Like she was rubbing it in my face and there was nothing I could do about it. She knew there was nothing about it. My ex-wife went on to sing high praises of said brother while still holding his arm. She couldn't even have the decency to pretend like I was there. She thought she had little power. The guest I had been talking to was intrigued by ex-wife's lover's skills and handed her his card, which I quickly collected and tried to salvage the situation. Did you think I was going to let the witch run the reins? Not on my watch. I took the card and told the man that I was going to contact him for my own client. He smiled and walked away, and my ex-wife looked at me and then tried to formally introduce her brother to me, like as if I was still in diapers and didn't know what was actually going on here. Then I recall I said something along the lines of, "So you're sleeping with your brother now," and the shock on her face was epic. Women are so dumb. She thought she had been so sleek with her sneaking around behind my back. I had read some stories on this platform and thought there was no way the shit was real. In my head, I was like, ain't no way women were this delusional and men were this gullible, but it had happened to me. And I believe I was the most gullible MF of them all. I left where she was standing shocked and moved around the party. In my head, I was going to throw her things out of my house immediately I was done here. The witch had done enough damage. She wanted to take my hard work from me. I thought she was done embarrassing me. Nope, my ex-wife just had to be caught doing her lover in her office. I was about to leave the party when I received a notification and a video came on with my ex-wife sleeping with her in her office. They were literally slumming it down. My ex-wife had never shown off those moves when she was with me, but apparently her lover had better game LOL. I wasn't even mad at that. I was mad at the fact that her face could clearly be seen and everyone knew she was married to me because she had flexed my name at work whenever she wanted something and wasn't getting her way. So people at the office knew she was affiliated with me and she had gone on to do that. Her lover's face wasn't showing in the video, so people had thought it was me with her in her office doing those things. Meanwhile, I had been watching the video with them. She was on a path to destroy my career. I had to do something. I had to go round the party. At least those left. I had to show my face to the people remaining so they knew it wasn't me with her. When I was done making rounds, I left to go back to the house. I was on a revenge path. I knew the important documents she had that were on her laptop. I deleted her backup files. Then I filled the tub with water and then I drowned it. I grabbed her belongings and took the property document that her father had left to her in his will, and then I set it on fire. She had tried to damage my life. I wanted to see how she was going to rise from the ashes with everything I was going to burn. I grabbed her clothes, the one she had stuffed in her box. It looked like she was planning to run away, or move away. I had no idea what she wanted to do. I took it and threw it, and I set it all on fire. She wasn't going to get away with trying to disgrace me in front of everyone. Now that I think about it, she had done it on purpose. Took her lover to her office and had sex with him and made it look like it was me so I would get fired. She knew that there was a strict no fraternizing with workers on the office premises rule, and she had done that knowing fully well she was quitting the job and planning to run away, and I was the one that was going to face the repercussions alone. I don't know what I had done to deserve this wickedness that the witch had thought to deal me with. I admit I hadn't been the best husband, and we quarreled almost half the time we were together. I just hadn't thought that she hated me to this degree. Well, she wanted to show me crazy. I showed her how crazy I could be, and I was the best at it. It was as the fire was ebbing that my ex-wife came home, and I got to witness how shocked she was at how crazy I could get. And she had the gall to come back with her lover in tow. I punched him and stormed inside my house. My ex-wife had been ranting below, and one of my neighbors called the police, so she had to leave. It was great watching her being escorted away by the police. I wished I had sprung up the police on her. The next day, I told my lawyers to prepare divorce papers, and this woman thought she was so smart and tried to get me arrested. I destroyed her. I just realized I have just been ranting and hadn't given a backstory on how I had met the woman that had wanted to ruin my life. I won't go into the fake names BS. I'm not divulging my name because it doesn't make sense to do all that to me. I had met my wife on a dating app. Probably hadn't been my best idea. I can't remember the name of the app exactly, but it was one of the most popular ones. We had both swiped right on our pictures, and I had gone on 3 dates with her, and she had seemed lovely and bearable. I remember she was done with college and was working as a personal assistant to her aunt or something like that. I can't recall the details of our meeting. She was pretty, and I liked her despite my friends' warnings, and I decided to ask her to be my girlfriend. I dated her for about a year, and I needed to present a married man front to get to the level I wanted to attain in my field, so I had asked her to marry me. I hadn't listened to my friends when they were warning me that it wasn't wise to marry someone I just knew for about a year, but people were marrying someone they had just met in 3 days. I had paid them no mind and had a small wedding with my wife, or my ex-wife as it is now. We had a small wedding and she wasn't pleased. She wanted a big wedding. I asked her what she wanted a big wedding for. It wasn't like she was inviting many people from her side, just her friends. Her family wasn't coming to the wedding. I didn't know the main cause, but I recall they'd had a fight almost 2 weeks before our wedding, and they had said she could get married without their blessings. I hadn't even looked into it because I had been too engrossed in wanting to get married and get the position at my office. I couldn't care less what her family thought of me. We wedded, and I had taken her on a trip to Zanzibar for our honeymoon for 2 weeks before I dived into work when we got back. It was something, wasn't it? I began building and trying to impress my bosses and those above me in status. She had served the purpose of why I had married her, and I didn't know what to do with her again. Trust me, I tried. I hadn't loved her when we got married. I had thought I would grow to love her. My friends had said so. I had hoped that I was definitely going to grow to love her. I liked her. But then work took over, and I was too busy selling my clients to top blokes that I neglected my wife. Time flew, and it was our 5-year wedding anniversary. This was when I found out that she was cheating on me. Well, not exactly. I had started seeing signs and then decided to hit up a private investigator. What had been the signs? My ex-wife had called me another name while we were having our anniversary dinner at home. I was that paranoid. And my friend had just found out his wife was doing the same thing to him, and they were getting couples therapy. So when my ex-wife called me another man's name, I knew something was going on behind my back. It was like I had expected it. I had asked her who the person was, and then she had said it was her friend's baby's name she had called me. She'd had a little mix-up in her head and called me her friend's child's name. My ex-wife was a terrible liar. Anyway, that had set me on high alert because I didn't want to look stupid. I laughed away the uncomfortable moment, and she thought I had forgotten about it. I hired the PI and got feedback within 2 weeks, and I found out she was having an affair. After I had vouched for her and submitted her name for her to get employed in my firm. I should never have given her that leverage, but her aunt's firm had closed up because said aunt had traveled to the UK, and she couldn't just stay idle and needed something to do. This was one of the times I had been a good husband and had gone out of my way to put her needs first. It wasn't every time bags and jewelry. I thought I was doing something that was impactful in her life. I didn't know I was giving her leverage to make me regret doing that. All these happened before I found out she was having an affair with another man. My PI showed me everything I needed to go and get a divorce like every normal person, but I got informed of the party and thought I could win her back with gifts. I was grasping for straws and tried to win her back through material things instead of dumping her ass at the first red light my PI had given me. I bought my ex-wife gifts and it backfired. I was still watching her through the PI and she was still going to see him. When I knew I was being played for a fool was when my PI had reported back to me that he had seen her coming out of a pawn shop with huge wads of cash, and then she had stopped by her affairs house. I should have divorced her then. I should have just gotten it over with and had her out of my life when she started lying to my face about her whereabouts. This was when I had gotten into an issue with her friend. I had tried to call my wife and she wasn't picking up my calls, so I had called her friend. Her friend had picked up and said that my ex-wife wasn't with her, and then she had gone ahead to tell me that I should stop being a, pardon my bad language, pussy-whipped jerk and allow my wife to enjoy some freedom. My ex-wife had been gone over the weekend and didn't bother to inform me of her whereabouts. I called the friend all sorts of names and she blocked my number. My ex-wife came back the next day and tried to smooth things over with me. She lied that she had been with her friend and they had gone for a spa day, but in the middle of it she had to go and fix a work emergency, so she had left and had forgot to charge her phone. Like she had given me a half-faced lie and expected me to believe it. But I hadn't said anything. I had kept silent, thinking she would come to her senses while I was preparing for our office party and repping my clients. A month till the party, my ex-wife had come up and said she needed my signature to use and open an account with my bank. She had come at the perfect time. When I was stressed about a client I was repping and was trying to arrange his files. I had signed the papers she wanted and she had used it to open a joint account. And she had somehow convinced my account manager, who had been a friend of the family, to move my money into the joint account, all because she had seen my signature on a form. I was wondering how she had done it. She must have had some help because I didn't think my wife was capable of being that smart. But the joint account, it didn't exist, had just been a front, and she was actually siphoning money from my account to a secret account. I would have been none the wiser if not for the PI I had hired that had told me of the recent developments. She had wanted to steal my hard-earned money from right underneath my nose, and I had been gullible enough to not know what was going on. I had been so focused on work that I didn't even know what was happening around me. My PI told me, and I called my account manager and started shouting at her. Then they tried to retrieve the money. Luckily, they could, and I found out that this woman had a hidden account and it had a huge amount of money. She wanted to add my own money to the list of people she had scammed. And when she had gotten back after work, she had tried to act innocent and cute, telling me about her day and the likes, like as if I didn't know the fraud she had committed. I really don't know how I had been calm through the whole thing. It was so surprising that I hadn't kicked her out right there and then. But I had an ultimate goal in my mind. I was going to be free of her after the office party, and I signed the contract deal that was going to change my life. I kept quiet and acted innocent with her. Then the party came, and it all backfired in my face. I should have had the upper hand and sent her away, but she had tried to show that she was smarter than me. I have brought you guys up to speed on how the party went and how she tried to embarrass me. I was done. She had messed with me, tried to take away my money, and I drew the line at my career. No one messed with my career and went scot-free. I was a determined man when it came to achieving my goals, and I wanted to go far in my career. Ever since I realized I would never be handpicked in the game, I channeled my talents into becoming the person that gets athletes their dreams in their required sports. I would rather die than see someone try to ruin it, so I got back at my wife. I remember that she was trying to sign a major deal, and I had made sure that her laptop was spoilt beyond repair. She was going to go through a lot before she gained access to the things she used to have. I sent the divorce papers through my lawyers, and then my lawyers told me she wouldn't sign unless I met with my ex-wife. I disagreed, and then she called the police on me because I had burnt her things. That was such a low blow for her because I submitted all the evidence of illegal fund movement to her account. The questioning turned her, and I was set free. She had confronted me outside the station that all she had wanted from me was attention. And if I had just given her a little attention, she wouldn't have found another man. That was the dumbest excuse if I had ever heard one. Well, it was by in that chapter, and I was so glad I had come out unscathed. I want to tell you guys on this platform to be aware of women who are out to take everything from you and leave you in ruins. Luckily, nothing happened to my career. I still got the contract for the client under me and got made in my career. The video got deleted and no one traced it to me. As for my ex-wife, once she had signed the divorce papers, I was done with her. I blocked her number and everything connected to her. I would have loved to see how much she was suffering trying to salvage what was left of her life. But I couldn't be bothered. I moved on from that chapter. Redditors, I hope you guys learn from my experience and vet the woman you want to get married to carefully. I had been carried away by my career and had chosen someone who was as evil as they came. I hope no one gets to pass through what I passed through because some people may not have been as sharp as me to notice the subtle signs of cheating. Well, my life is taking a great path now. Doubt I'm going to get married anytime soon.